Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all doing very well. So I just watched Encanto. Let's talk about it. So Encanto is the latest Disney animated film and the 60th Disney animated classic in a whole long lineup that started all the way back with 1939's Snow White. Now this movie is a huge deal because, like I said, it is the 60th in the lineup, which is a nice round number to celebrate. I remember when Disney celebrated the 50th, that being Tangled, all the way back in 2010, so it's pretty cool seeing yet another 10 of these. Sorry, I just realized that was more than 10 years ago. That was more than 10 years ago. If you just saw the light die from my eyes, it's because I realized that Tangled came out more than 10 years ago. Anyway, I'll definitely be doing something in order to celebrate the 60th entry into the Disney Animated Classics lineup. This is a set of films that mean a whole lot to me. I am a huge Disney Animated Classic fan. So I'll definitely be making a video celebrating the 60th entry here. But today we're going to specifically be focusing on Encanto, and I'll be giving you guys my thoughts on this movie. But before we get into all of that, as per usual, if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and make sure you turn on your notifications so that you can be told when I upload next. Now, without further ado, let's get into this. So first of all, what makes Encanto a very special story is that it is focused on a Colombian family in a Colombian community. Now, recently in the past decade, we saw a huge change in the kinds of stories that Disney told in its animated classics. If you consider all the way back to 1939 and how the majority of these earlier films were focused on a certain demographic, okay, with these Caucasian characters as leads time and time again, or in the case where these stories weren't led by Caucasian characters, they would often be populated by animals. Like, don't think we didn't notice Disney, okay? We have the Jungle Book, we have the Lion King, we have Princess and the Frog. Like, don't think we didn't notice. But yeah, that was definitely a trend. But we're starting to see Disney embrace diversity in its animated films. We saw this through the likes of the Princess and the Frog, even though that was a flawed example, but also Moana. And then earlier on this year, we got Raya and the Last Dragon, which explored Southeast Asian culture. And now this time around, we have South American culture at the center of this story, which is just fabulous, which is just wonderful. However, as much as I admired Raya and the Last Dragon and its representation of Southeast Asian culture and the themes that it explored in that film, I would say that Encanto does a much better job of telling us this really beautiful story of this family, the Madrigals, who are a gifted family due to this miracle that occurred early on, where Abuela was much younger and she and Abuelo were running away from conflict in their native village, and they were crossing rivers. Like, they just wanted to get out of that situation because of the horrors of conflict. And of course, they had these 3 triplets, these babies to take care of. They were just seeking a better life for themselves and for their growing family, and they did whatever it took to do so. It's a story that we have seen time and time again with a lot of immigrants' parents, and I love the fact that that's represented here. But unfortunately, Abuelo wasn't able to join Abuela in this story, and his story ended there. But she was gifted with this magical candle that represents this miracle that occurred, where, you know, her children were given these gifts, and she also was able to build this house and this community that continued to grow over the decades until her family became the center of that community, and they dedicated their whole lives to helping build it and making sure that they had this safe and secure home to call their own. And already I thought that was just such a beautiful, wonderful story to explore. Like, already I was only 15 minutes in and I was tearing up. I was tearing up already, like just wow, stunning. But then you add on this kind of magical element, which Disney does so well. The magic isn't just there as a kind of tick box to say like, oh, this is a Disney movie, it needs magic. It speaks to the actual personalities of these characters, and it speaks to the themes that are explored in the film, which we'll get into in a second. So I think everything just works together so beautifully. The writing here is solid, and I think Jared Bush, I believe the writer is on this one, did an excellent job. I'm not surprised though, because he's one of the writers on Zootopia and Moana, I believe. So like, yeah, it's making sense. Then we fast forward onto the present day and we are introduced to the casita. The casita is the house itself that is imbued with this mystical magic, and it has a life of its own. Like, it moves, it lives, it breathes with the family, it helps the family, it protects the family. I love casita. I love the fact that casita is a character in its own right. It's like, what a great idea. Beautiful, stunning, love that house. And also we see as time went on, the family continued to grow. So, you know, Abuela had 3 children, and 2 of the 3 had children of their own, and so you have this family that continued to grow, and these kids also gained gifts of their own. So you have Luisa, who's the strong one of the family. You have Isabella, who's like the, you know, perfection of the family. I don't know, like, she's supposed to embody perfection, ultra femininity, and she produces these flowers, these blooms that are beautiful and perfect in every way, just like her. You have Dolores, who can hear very well. Like, she can hear a pin drop from a mile away. And then you also have Camilo, who is Dolores's brother, and he can shapeshift. He's a cheeky one. I liked Camilo quite a bit. And then you have the youngest of Peppa and Felix's children, and that is Antonio. He is adorable. He is adorable. I love Antonio. I loved him so much. At the beginning of the film, you know, he is due to have the ceremony, which is basically where he finds out what his powers are. We'll talk about the previous ceremony in a bit, but he is due to have it, and he's talking to Maribel. He's really nervous, and she tries to comfort him, saying, listen, your worth is not just tied to whether or not you get gifts tonight. Like, you're still a valued member of this family, and that's a mantra that she's had in her head ever since her own ceremony. And during the ceremony, everyone is really tense, especially Abuela, because of the previous ceremony that happened. And so everyone is just super nervous, and there's a lot of pressure put on Antonio. But it turns out that he does have a gift of his own. He is able to communicate with animals, and it's just such a beautiful sequence that takes place where he has his own room that the house, the casita, creates, and it's just like a whole jungle. It's a whole jungle in there. I just think that was stunning, amazing. I love Antonio. I love all of these family members, quite frankly. Like, they are just spectacular, each and every one of them. But Antonio is adorable. And then you have Maribel herself, and she is the only member of the family who doesn't have a power. And even though at the beginning we're introduced to her and she feels so proud to be a part of the Madrigal family, she loves her family members. You know, she wants to chip in and help out as much as she can, even still, despite the fact that she doesn't have any gifts. But at the same time, there is this like niggling feeling of disappointment and of insecurity. And it's because she constantly sees how her abuela praises the family members who do have gifts. You know, they're held on a pedestal, and they're expected to do whatever they can to help build the house, to help build the community. There is a lot of pressure put onto them. We'll talk about it in a second. But Maribel feels like, you know, if only she could contribute herself with her own gifts to elevate the family and to help out in whatever way that she can. And so from the very beginning, even when we see her be optimistic about the situation, and also when we see her be supportive towards Antonio during his ceremony, when it turns out that he does have a gift of his own, there is a little bit of jealousy that sets into her, and it's completely understandable. incredible, because you see how Abuela just holds Antonio on a pedestal immediately after it's revealed that he does have a gift. It seems as though it's something that is incredibly important in their family, and for her to be the only one without, at least the only one who's biologically related to Abuela, is really difficult for her, despite the fact that she puts on a brave face. Again, already at that stage, I found this story to be incredibly compelling. The idea that you have this one person who doesn't have powers. I mean, it would be like if the Incredibles had like one child who was powerless, basically. And this also led to a really interesting story arc with Mirabel and Abuela. You know, their relationship was explored here. The idea that Abuela would have to look inward herself instead of just blaming Mirabel for being the odd one out, the black sheep of the family, to the point where she suspects that she was the reason why the magic was leaving the house. It did such a great job of setting up the idea that these two characters would be at odds, and then at the end there, where we do see them kind of reunite and come together as a family in their darkest hour, it means all the more. But again, because this is Disney, and Disney is known for making incredible animated films, this story takes it up a notch as well, because it also explores the pressure, the implication of having this family where their gifts are so highly valued by the matriarch, to the point where they don't even know who they are without the gifts. And once those gifts are taken away, you know, what is left? Like, what is left of their family when it's built off of the miracle that they had? Again, that just adds yet another layer of complexity to these characters, and it makes them so much more, you know, interesting and three-dimensional, and we get to explore them as individuals instead of just looking at them as the Madrigal family as a whole. For example, we get to explore Luisa and the pressure that she feels that she is constantly under, having to take on all of these burdens and be expected to carry them because she is the strong one of the family. And then we also see a similar thing with Isabella, who is Mirabel's other sister, and she also feels a lot of pressure because she's expected to be perfect all the time. She's never been given a chance to explore what else she could do outside of those very narrow parameters of perfection, whatever that means. But yeah, being able to explore each of these family members' psyche, whilst at the same time having this story arc to do with the house and the magic fading, and it's because at this time, even though everything looks perfect from the outside, on the inside the family is very much broken. Are you kidding me? This story is incredible. This story is amazing, just on so many different levels. And then at the end there, you have the fact that even though Abuela tried her darndest, she tried her best to make it look like her family was perfect, that everything was going to plan or whatever that means. Once it became clear that everything wasn't as perfect as it seemed, the townspeople came in and they chipped in to contribute, to give back to this family that had dedicated their entire lives to building that community. I just think that was beautiful. I just think that was stunning. So those were my thoughts on the story. Those are my thoughts on the story. But alongside the story, we have the, you know, staple Disney animated classics, technical elements, the excellent animation. Please. Disney is the GOAT of animation. Like, you think the animation is going to look shoddy? Absolutely not. Like, this is the 60th Disney animated classic and it looks beautiful. They also have a great voice cast here, and of course there is a prevalence of South American actors who are voicing these characters, as it should be, as there should be, okay, like, please. And then let's talk about the music for a second here. So the music is mixed to me. The music is mixed to me because, you know, there are a couple of songs where I immediately knew I'll be playing them on repeat until maybe next year. Like, truly, like Luisa's Pressure song, the song where she's talking about how under pressure she is, that will be put on repeat, okay, absolutely. And then there was another song, I can't remember which which one it was. There were two songs where I was like, oh, this is an immediate hit. Like, this is an immediate bop. Absolutely, I'll be putting this on my playlist, on my Disney playlist, okay? So the first one I remember was the Pressure song, but I can't remember the second one. I'll look it up later on. But yeah, I think the music was very, very good. This was done by Lin-Manuel Miranda once again, after he worked on the music in Moana, which I loved. The music in Moana was excellent, okay? And I feel like there were some good hits here as well. So overall, I would say that Encanto is one of the great entries into the Disney animated classics lineup. I feel like the story here is so strong, so layered and beautiful in every way, and really touching and relatable as well. I think the animation is gorgeous. Being able to see all of these different landscapes as these stories explore different parts of the world is such a pleasure, and I feel like the animators did a great job in, you know, materializing this world. It feels very small. The story itself takes place in a very contained environment, but still, because of the way that the different elements are realized, the house, the jungle that they're surrounded by, just everything looks stunning and like a world you want to dive into. I think the characters are amazing. I was going to rank the family members because I like to rank things. I like to rank things, so I was going to rank them, but I was like, hang on, I can't rank my family. I can't rank the Madrigal family members. Like, I love them all equally. Truly, like, there isn't a single one that I dislike. Are you kidding me? And Bruno, please, Bruno. Bruno has my whole heart, okay? I love all of them. So yeah, I'm not even gonna do that. And honestly, it would go against the message of the film. They would be in bad faith anyways. But with all of that being said, I'm going to be giving Encanto an 8.5 out of 10. So that's it from me. Now that I told you guys my thoughts on Encanto, it's time for you guys to let me know what you think of this film down in the comments below. Please be sure to subscribe to catch new videos coming up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.